It is 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm getting ready to start another long drive in my Hyundai Ioniq 6 from Orlando, Florida to Raleigh, North Carolina. 600 miles today. Google Maps says that it's 8.5 hours of driving. We'll see if we don't have any traffic. And because it's 600 miles, I would need to stop at least twice to do 200 miles per leg, but I'm going to be a little more conservative and drive about 150 miles between stops. So I will do 3 stops, have 4 legs of travel, 2 to 2.5 hours each leg, and like I said, 3 stops. And because of the incredible efficiency and charging speed of the Hyundai 800 volt architecture, each stop will be between 10 to 15 minutes, hopefully under a total of 45 minutes of charging on an 8.5 to 9 hour drive, 600 miles. So really close to parity of driving a gasoline car. Just wanted to show you inside of the car for a minute here before we get rolling. The car is estimating 473 miles of range. And just to be clear, I'll show you. I have different tires and wheels that I bought. This is the limited edition, the top tier for the 2023 car. Doesn't really matter what they are, but I bought replacement wheels that are 18 inches and lighter tires, higher sidewalls to reduce the spinning weight. And that increases efficiency on the highway by about 10 to 15%, and local driving 20% or more. And so that's why it says 473 miles of range. I've been driving only in town for several weeks, if not several months. So we will not get 473 miles of range on the highway. Probably the most this car could do is 300 under ideal conditions. I normally plan for 250, at least with the first leg where we have 100% state of charge. Temperature 83 is only that high because the car was in the garage overnight. It's probably 75 right now, actual temperature. And just spent a couple minutes doing this video. So we're going to fire up the car and drive for 2.5 hours to our first stop at a Pilot Flying J. A lot of people ask me, how do I know where I'm going to stop next? So I wanted to spend a few extra minutes in this video. And this first image here from PlugShare, which is the program I'm using for this trip, very easy to use application. You can also go to the website. There's other places that you can go. Often cars can do this. The Hyundai cars can do this. Teslas, almost all of them can map you to where you're going to go. You just put in where you are and where you're going to go. You can even use a thing called a Better Route Planner, which takes into all kind of nuanced details. But I'm not going to go into all that stuff. I'm just going to keep this simple. And you saw the mileage estimate on my car, 470 miles plus. That's for driving around town, stop and go traffic, 30 miles an hour. I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going out of Orlando, northeast on Interstate 4 over towards Daytona, and then I'm going to get a 95 and go north, and I'm going to go with the flow of traffic. And all of these chargers you see here this is after I filtered out DC chargers that are too slow. I filtered out dealerships, which can be wonderful places to stop, but sometimes they're not. And so if you don't know the location, maybe that's not your first choice. And these are only locations that are over 150 kilowatt charging rate, so it can charge my car fast. I really want something that's 250 or higher, but I leave it at 150 just to see what my options are. And then I look along the path that I'm going, 95 north along the coast, and I try to find a place for the first stop that's 3 hours away, and that just happens to be north of Jacksonville. You can only see Sunville on the image, but there's a lot of chargers in and around Jacksonville, and those are great places to stop. But I don't want to stop in a big city if I can avoid it, and so I'm going to go north of it, and there's 3 or 4 places to charge there. So what I'll do before I start is tap on one of those orange pins and see how many chargers there are, how fast they are, how well they're rated. And I decided in this case to pick a Pilot Flying J service station, gas station, truck stop, highway stations, I don't know, energy station, whatever they call these things nowadays. And I'm used to their equipment. I know they're very reliable. The other thing, of course, I look for is when I stop somewhere, it's really nice if there's a second location nearby, a mile away, across the street, in case the first station doesn't work. I've only had one time where I went to a station, there was only one of 4 working and there were several cars in line. But outside of that, every station I've ever stopped at is working. And that's because I look in advance. I'm not just randomly stopping. I'm checking using PlugShare. So that is why I'm going to drive from Orlando north of Jacksonville, Florida, into Georgia and stop at the Pilot Flying J. And you can do this yourself. Just get the PlugShare app and play around with it a little bit. And like I said, this is filtering out dealerships. This is filtering out chargers below 150 kilowatt. And all of these come up and you kind of figure out how far you can go. You need to know your car. And mine on the highway, ideal conditions is 300 miles. Normally I assume 250 because I don't want to show up somewhere with 5 miles of range left because that can get a little scary. So I plan on maybe 250 on the first drive where I have 100%. And then after that, I kind of think of 170 or 200 as the maximum. And I'm being cautious. I'm being normal. I'm not trying to do a mega range driving video to get the ideal and show up at the charger with 1 mile left, because that's not how the normal person is going to drive it. They want to look at this map. They want to look a few locations. They find something that's a 10 out of a 10 rating with multiple chargers that go real fast, that have nice bathrooms, food, snacks, drinks. They want to tap on that button and map to it and sit in the car and drive. And that's what we're doing here. I have arrived at the Pilot Flying J. 43% state of charge left. It's now 78 degrees outside. And the Pilot Flying J has a subway, in case you want to eat. And we're going to test out the auto charge function here. So turn off my car. We're going to walk around to the charger. There it is. It's got power. That's fantastic. Open up the port. Ready? Kind of got this blue pole in the way here. Says tap to start. Plug-in connector, authorized payment. Well, since I have plug-in charge, it should just go. I think it plugged in. I had to sit down on the phone for a second to get that handle in there because of the binding being too close to the pole. And it took about 30-40 seconds, and we're charging, starting at 43% state of charge. And I'm going to run inside and use the restroom and do the calculations on my next stop and how much electricity I need, but maybe a 10 or 12 minute stop here. Back from the restroom, and I'm bummed to find out that we're only getting 130, 140 kilowatt instead of the 200 plus I would normally expect from this equipment. Theoretically 350 kilowatt. I don't think the battery is too hot because it's only about 80 here, but I'm going to let this go to 7 minutes because we have way more than enough to get to the next stop. It is a Electrify America at a Walmart just outside of Savannah. In that previous clip, I was talking about getting 200 kilowatt would be desirable, but at 64% state of charge, I'm probably not going to quite get 200 kilowatt in my car. So it wasn't that much slower. But here is the map for the next leg. And we come into a little bit of a problem. You can see Savannah in the center of this, and we're driving north from the bottom of the image up to Savannah. And south of Savannah and north of Savannah, there are not a whole lot of chargers. And this is one of those places where right in Savannah and along the interstate, there's plenty of chargers.
but south of it and north of it is kind of void. This will eventually get better, but for now, this makes me want to stop in Savannah because, like I said, there's many places to stop there. So that's why this next leg was only 90 or 100 miles, whatever it works out to be, 101 miles. It just fit, and, it's an hour and 30. So this is the shortest leg of the trip by quite a considerable extent, and it just the way it worked out. We have arrived at the Walmart outside of Savannah. 100 miles, 88 left. See, I told you that was going to go down. And in the bottom left, 30% state of charge. I found a 350 kilowatt charger here, so we're going to hopefully get top speeds, and then I'm going to calculate the next stop to go to. Dropped this image in here to show you the charging speed for the Ioniq 6. Right now I'm getting 223 kilowatt. It can peak in the 240s. And the beautiful thing is it holds that speed for a very long time, up to 50, 55, maybe even 60%. You can be around 200, slightly under 200. An incredibly fast charging car. The official from 10 to 80% is 18 minutes. And since we got here with 30% and went to 81, obviously the time is going to be less than 18 minutes. While the car is charging, I pull up PlugShare again, and you can see Savannah in the bottom left, kind of hidden there. But we're going to continue up 95, US 95, Interstate 95. And like I said, there's a little bit of a gap north of Savannah. There's one place, and one of the reasons I avoid stopping somewhere like that if I can, is because if that's not working, or if there's a line or a delay or a problem, I might have a problem. So I don't want to go towards Charleston. I don't want to go towards Columbia. I want to keep going up towards Florence. So that was the logic behind charging in Savannah, even though the previous leg was very short. Now we're going to have a little bit of a longer leg, which is fantastic. We're going to go up to Florence. And as you can see from this image from PlugShare, once we get up towards Florence, there's chargers all over the place. So again, this is one of those things that just comfort and ease of driving, knowing that if the place you pick, you've got multiple backups. I mean, the difference between this and what it was 3 or 4 years ago is profound. So I like to go where there's multiple places to stop, really high scores, really nice locations to be at. And that's what we're going to do on the next leg here when we get done charging. All right, did have a little typical Electrify America challenges. The first handle didn't recognize when it was plugged into the car, but thankfully there's redundant handles, so always got to check your handles. Now at 81%, 14 minutes. I didn't even want to go to 81, but I'm going to make this video. I think the next leg will take 60% of the battery, 180 miles, about 3 hours of driving. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this here at 14 minutes, and we'll get back on the road. Well, stopped at the Buc-ee's as planned, and pulled up to one of these Mercedes-Benz and charge point equipment. And one nice thing about the charge point equipment, at least the DC fast chargers, they just seem to always work. All I did was I plugged in the car, took a couple seconds, and then came over here and tapped my phone on the little reader area here, and within 30 seconds the car was charging. Absolutely amazing. And we've already ramped up to 225 kilowatt rate of charge. To see how close we are at the interstate, you can hear the interstate. Now we play a little game where I've got to see if I can run into the Buc-ee's and use the bathroom and get back to the car before I need to stop the charging. So usually the problem here is the speed going inside of Buc-ee's, but I'll be right back and see how the car is doing. This is the car screen when I pulled into the Buc-ee's. Just wanted to talk about this real quick. Average 3.9 miles per kilowatt hour, which is on the high side. And the average speed was 67. So it wasn't like I was going slow. There was some traffic, but it was pretty consistent. There was no changes in elevation. And maybe I had a bit of a tailwind, but the battery went down to 22%. And this is kind of, for me at least, a sweet spot, 15 to 25% battery, because you can plug it in and charge at really high rates that you just saw. in the previous segment. For anyone who's never been in a Buc-ee's, this is what you get. It is just hundreds and hundreds of people shopping in here. Well, I'm surprised. I got in and out of the Buc-ee's in about 10 minutes, and I've already mapped to where we're going next, and it is 134 miles away. I figure I might need 40-45% of the battery to get there. I'm already at 64%. So I don't even need this much, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. Let's see if we can get the detail. Yeah, 10 and a half minutes. I'll let it go. I'll round up to 11, and it's still putting in 170 kilowatt, 35 kilowatt hour of energy added. Just cranking along here, and I'm going to stop the video and unplug the car. One more time, I just wanted to show you how I'm doing this with the PlugShare app. So I pull up the PlugShare app in the last minute or two of the car charging, and again, you can see Florence in the lower left, and we're going to go up to Raleigh in the upper northeast, on the right side of the screen, to the Raleigh, North Carolina area. And it looks like there's quite a few chargers along that path. It's not a particularly long stretch, and it didn't take long, total of 11 minutes of charging the car to make sure I had enough energy. And I was able to go to Raleigh, North Carolina. Well, I've almost arrived at our location. Definitely have enough range to get there, but I have decided to stop in Garner, North Carolina, because there is an Ioniq rechargery here. And so we're going to turn off the car and hop outside and see if we can get a charge going. All right, I pulled into a spot here and tapped my phone to the reader here. And I got approved, so that's nice. It's 39 cents per kilowatt hour, which is great. And it is preparing to charge here. And looks like the equipment is working. All plugged in the car. Oh, and there's the charging started, I don't know, about 40 seconds from the time I tapped my phone until charging. I think there's 10 or 12 ports here. It is both CCS and NACS, something we're going to have to deal with probably for decades, or you're going to have to get an adapter. Thankfully, I could just plug in the CCS here. And we have a little bit of a ramp up in the charging speed. And as I said just a minute ago, when looking at the car dash, didn't need to stop here, just stopping here for laughs. And I don't know, maybe 10-15 minutes would be more than I need, because our hotel also has chargers we can use overnight. Well, I walked inside the Ioniq rechargery, and my car is now almost at 90% because I had a fun conversation with another EV aficionado outside. Lots of choices here. I mean, it's nice if you just want a drink or a snack. No real food yet. Maybe gum or mints or something you want to get, or a cookie. And they do have a nice area out here. Had to use my phone and scan a QR code to be able to get inside the building. And enter only. I guess I have to read the signs. I can exit on this side. But there's an Ioniq 5 charging. And there's chargers on this side that you can drive through. One up here in front of the building with 2 plugs. And then 2 more towers here, so that's what, 5, so 10 ports. So very nice. Did go use the bathrooms. You use your phone to unlock that as well. So that's it. I've charged, well, let's see how much I've charged. Charged way more than I thought I was going to, but that's okay. The rate here is pretty good, and worst case scenario, I don't need to use the hotel. But yeah, I'm at 91% now. And let's see here, this will show me 56 kilowatt hours. Doesn't say how long I've been here. I'll have to figure that out, but it's probably been 18 minutes, 15 minutes. But like I said, it doesn't matter. I didn't even need to stop here. My hotel is only a few miles down the road. So hopefully this information you find useful. Just showing you this Iona screen while I give you a quick summary on the northbound part of the trip. 600 miles, and the total charging time is 32 minutes. Maybe I could have saved a few minutes. I'm not counting the stop at the Ioniq because the hotel is going to charge me for free, so I didn't even need this charge, and I let it go until it was going really slow, just to show you the store. But the actual time, 32 minutes of charging out of about a 9 plus or minus 9 hour drive. So really, really not bad at all. Every 2 to 2.5 to 3 hours, you stop for 10 to 15 minutes. It's easy.
Today is the drive back to Orlando, Florida from Raleigh, North Carolina. Got a nice early start of the day. It's 5:20 a.m. Still dark outside. So we're going to hopefully get ahead of traffic. 100% state of charge, 63 degrees. So no battery cooling or heating will be required. And let's get on the road. We have driven almost 2 hours, 130 miles. Now at the Buc-ee's. And I didn't go as far as I really wanted to, but this is such a nice location, and this early in the morning, it's still a little bit of dusk. It'll be easy to run in and out. 53% of battery. Could have driven another hour or two, but the next stretch that I want to take is a little long. I think I'm going all the way to Savannah, so I'll just charge here for 5 or 8 minutes. Well, I did get back to the car in about 5 minutes, and actually that would have been enough, but if you can see in the top right, I'm only getting 76 kilowatts, so the charger is derated for some reason. I'm not getting as much speed as I would like. So we're going to stop this at 9 minutes. I already have over 225 miles of range, and the next stop is 180, so about 3 hours away. So we're going to turn this off and get back on the road.
Well, as I showed you, the Buc-ee's charger wasn't charging very fast, so I didn't want to stay there too long. So I took off when I thought I had about 40 extra miles of range. And one of the things that I like to do in my head, and there's actually a screen in the brand new 2025 Ioniq 5, which is not what I'm driving today. It's the Ioniq 6 from 2023. That shows you the difference between what you think you're going to get and what you're actually getting. So what I normally do is I start driving and I say, oh, I've got 40 extra miles in this case. So that was kind of on the low side. And the extra miles I had kept getting lower and lower. Now, if I was particularly worried, I could have pulled off at a rest area or an earlier stop and taken a look to see where I could have stopped, because there were chargers around the area by the time I knew I was going to start getting a little short. But I decided to keep going and did slow down a teeny bit, but my average speed for this leg was still 69 miles per hour. So I wasn't going particularly slow. And then I got the 20% warning, and then I got this 10% warning. And, it'll get in your head. It'll rattle around. But again, the real nice thing that I knew is that going to the Savannah location, not only was there the Electrify America, which is very highly rated and has almost seems to be almost always working. Just across the street, there's a Rivian, and then there's some other places at dealerships and another mall that has a whole bunch of chargers that are 50 and 62 kilowatt, which wouldn't be ideal, but you don't want to go to a level 2 7 kilowatt charger, right? So 50 is about 7 times faster than a 7 kilowatt charger. So it would add time, but that's one of the reasons, again, I was planning to go to Savannah. So got there with 5% battery left and only 14 miles of range. Well, we made it to Savannah, and maybe I should have stayed just a little bit longer in the previous stop, because we're down to 5% with 14 miles of range left. So I'm going to plug in and get this bad boy some electricity so we can finish our trip. All right, our charge time was 16 minutes. Went from 5, although the car said 4%, but from 5% to 75% in 16 minutes. So this was a long charge time for me, but I wanted to make sure I didn't get down to 4% for my next stop. Gonna drive south here from Savannah all the way through and past Jacksonville and stop on the other side, pretty close to Orlando. So the next charging stop, I'll be low again, but might only need 5 or 6 minutes to make sure I get enough to get to Orlando. It's just a little bit outside of the range of the car. So we're gonna charge here for 16 minutes, which we already did. And we'll see how much we charge at the next one. And of course, now we're gonna leave Savannah, heading towards Jacksonville, Florida. This is the dash from the car on the south side of Jacksonville. And it's a short trip from here all the way to our home in the Orlando area. And you can see we spent over 2 hours on this leg, 158 miles, average 3.6 miles per kilowatt hour, also pretty good. And charged here for just 8.5 minutes. And that's all we needed in this trip. This charge was 8.5 minutes. And then you can see we arrived back at the house with 14% state of charge left in the lower left. You got the little battery warning because we're under 20%, but still 38 miles of range. And again, you know, I knew this leg really, really well because we're getting close to home, so I could keep it kind of tight. And one of the reasons for doing that, of course, is when I charge at home, it's a third or a fourth or a fifth of the price. So I didn't want to charge more than necessary on the road. Some quick summary numbers. The northbound trip took a total of 32 minutes of charging. The southbound trip was 33.5 minutes of charging. I was actually hoping the southbound drive would have been less minutes of charging, but it was that first charger at the Buc-ee's that had done so well a couple days earlier that was doing really, really slow, where I was there for 9 minutes and only needed to be there, thought I only needed to be there for 5. And it wasn't just the 4 minutes that it cost me there. It was the fact that it didn't give me a whole lot of charge, which ended up in me getting all the way down to 5% for the second stop. So if that charger had been working properly or at the full speed that it's capable of, there's a possibility that the trip could have been under 30 minutes of charging, maybe even 28 minutes of charging. But it is what it is. It was 33 and a half, 32 north, 33 and a half. And like I said, I wasn't trying super hard to get the fastest and smallest possible charge time available. This was just getting in the car, pulling up PlugShare, which I showed you multiple times, guesstimating how far we want to go, making sure we have enough charge to go there, plus 40 or 50 miles of extra range, and picking a location that's got a really good score from people using it by other chargers and has all the services and amenities that I want. And you get in the car and you drive. And could I have done this a little faster in a gasoline car? Yeah, probably. I'm pretty sure just because of my biological needs, I would have had to stop twice. And those stops probably would have been 10 minutes apiece. The gas part is not the time lag. It's getting to the gas station, pumping the gas, and then you've got to move the car so you're not blocking the pump, and then you go inside. So, you know, maybe each stop would have been 10 minutes. And if I could have done it in 2 stops, that would have been 20 minutes. I really did like the 3 stops to break up the drive. So maybe I could have done all of this in a few minutes of less time. So it is really not a big deal. If you have a car with an 800 volt architecture that can charge really fast, and particularly something like the Ioniq 6 that cuts through the wind and can get you a lot of miles on the amount that you are charging. If you have questions about this drive or any of my other EV videos, leave a comment below. I'll try to keep up on those. And of course, you can follow for this and other fun stuff.